Okay, so remember that they are changing my voice. I'm here at Cahalan Park in the city of San Jose, sort of southern San Jose. And I'm going to be talking to you today about judgment. Now, first I want to discuss, how when Christ, as a character in the story, comes back, he says he's going to separate the sheep and the goats. Okay, so this is key here. It is not faith that saves people. It is their deeds. He said, that which you did not do for the least of my brethren, you did not do for me, so you're going to eternal punishment. So we know immediately that it's the deeds, it's the faith that comes with deeds that saves people, and not mere faith alone. And we know that their punishment is eternal. So their crime is great. So God in his infinite wisdom said, you deserve eternal punishment because you've judged as somebody with little faith, for example, that in the one life that you're going to live, what you're going to do with it is so evil, okay, that you deserve eternal punishment. And all it takes is not obeying God to be evil. So you didn't scramble to do what's right and didn't define yourself as holy. And therefore, the verdict must be eternal punishment. So let's talk about judgment here, because these are judgment calls. These are decisions that people are making, that eventually lead them to suffer to the extreme. So in Luke 12:57, which I cite a lot these days, it says, why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? John 7:24 says, stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. Okay, now appearances could be, racial appearances, it could be height, it could be weight, it could be a lot of things. Okay, in this situation, for example, it's those things, okay, but it's also, they're judging by human norms and standards, right? Why aren't they rallying? Because they think that they should obey the government instead of obeying God. They think that they should obey their social clubs and gangs and corporate groups and secret societies instead of obeying God. Okay, so they look at the situation and they're judging based on the mere appearance of it. They're not judging with a kind of higher thinking. They're not using sound reasoning. They're not truly critically thinking. And as a result, they come to the wrong conclusion. So it says, stop judging by what the social norm fanatics would say, like a valley girl or a fanatically social norm homosexual or something. These people are going to lead you astray because they're going to use the scale of whatever nation you're in. Okay, America, Brazil, whatever it is, whatever nation you're in, they're going to use that scale almost certainly. And they're going to say that you should do what the average person would do, which is the person on the broad path to destruction. So you're judging by the appearances in your mind's eye, right? What your mind eye perceives after the psychological construct prevented you from looking at things in a natural manner, okay, where nature and the essence of nature or supernature overlap. So you're judging by mere appearances. Now, let's look at the situation. The government is extremely slack in its work. I've demonstrated time and time again with a very affordable tax plan and efficient spending that we could easily end homelessness. They don't do that because their judgment is bad. The governing class basically controls the government, and that's why it plays out that way. And their judgment is bad. Not a single rich person has pronounced themselves as decent. They didn't set themselves apart as the exception to the rule. Why? Because they don't obey God through me. So their judgment is bad. Who are they to live life based on what makes them feel good? No one is allowed to do that by God. God does not give anyone his permission to merely follow their emotions and to use a mere human standard in regards to what they should do. Yet that is what they do. It's very scandalous for them to do that. It's very selfish. It's very heartless. They're judging by the mere appearances that they see in their mind, the mere vision, what appears to their mind's eye, their mind's vision, their mental vision. And they're not judging correctly. So what is judging correctly? Using universal pinpoint and moral precision, which would cause you to seek the righteous leader, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness. So you know who's Mr. Right because he's in his right mind, on the right path, doing the right thing. Now, as we look at the spectrum of types, right, you see rockers and gangsters and goths and emos and corporate psychopaths and corporate greedy people and lawyers and on and on and on and on. Obviously, the martial artist, the top martial artist, the monotheistic Royal African Falcon martial artist, goes beyond these other groups, right? Jesus talked about, as a character in the story, he talked about trees, right? The good tree and the bad tree. Groupings, right? What is a tree? There's genetics to consider. There's fruit to consider. Okay, there's processes to consider. So when you look to the essence of mind, body, soul, and spirit, you look to the soul brother, but which one? A mere singer? A mere dime a dozen church minister in a corrupt church? No. You've got to look to somebody who transcends, who's above that, who's far greater than that. And that's the Royal African Falcon top martial artist. That is me. So when these people come up empty, right, when they don't know how to find me or they don't know I exist, what are they doing in the meantime? They're conforming. They're not scrambling to figure out what is precisely right. They're simply conforming to the mere human standards and customs and traditions that they're aware of. And this is part of what leads people to hell faster than anything. So I think I want to leave you with this thought. I went a little over. I'm supposed to only make it 5 minutes because they're giving me a hard time about uploading it. I want to end with this thought. The main people kind of pushing this campaign against me are basically nerds and social club types. Okay, the nerd, right? The dragon is a play on the G, the Jew, Juju witchcraft, and Jew as a religion or whatever. Okay, the G, Jew, nerd. The gay G, Jew, nerd. The dragon, the ancient serpent, the devil. Why? Because who was tugging on the Jews in the story more to get them to go in the wrong direction than the Jews that worship the devil? You had Jezebel and the prophets of Baal. Okay, you had Saul when he gets possessed by evil spirits, and so on and so forth. So the main adversary, right? Satan means adversary of the Jews, the Israelites in the story are other Jews. Okay, and over time, since then, right, when the kingdom of heaven is taken away from the Jews because they failed to overcome their adversaries as a people, and not a single one of them was found worthy to be the leader of all of humanity, okay, we saw that they merged with the global colonists at some point. Okay, these are the people who intermarried with the kings of the world, like it says in the Bible, right? The kings of the earth committed adultery with the prostitute. So one possibility is that the patriarchal lines of the so-called Jewish people are actually just the European governing class lines. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they look, Bill Gates looks nearly identical, to Jews, and they look nearly identical to a lot of these statues and these paintings that we see of European governing class types, okay, who often put a great emphasis on having a bunch of children, including illegitimate children. And there's all these books written about the English quote-unquote royals and all their, concubines and their mistresses and all their illegitimate children. They kind of leverage these children, and they're like the grains of sand on the beach. And many of them call themselves Jews, but they're really of the synagogue of Satan according to the Bible.